Hello, dear viewers. I have just played 10 very difficult battles in Optio, otherwise known as Ferruccio, because it's the same ship. So this ship and this ship are the same. This is the midpoint reward from the event pass. You can see it here, but it's on the paid track. And so I thought it would be useful if I put together some thoughts on what I think of the ship after playing it these 10 battles, but also obviously from my previous experience of playing Ferruccio. So for those of you who don't know, I have a win rate challenge, and when I played Ferruccio, I actually really struggled, but it wasn't because of the ship. I actually just got really super unlucky with the teams. I actually think, and this might surprise chat who are watching this live, I actually think this ship is okay. So let me just run through quickly its features. This isn't a review, it's just kind of me pointing out its features. So it has quite a slow reload, so I think it's 11 seconds base reload. But you have 852mm sap shells. And to a destroyer, for example, that is super dangerous, especially when you combine that with the fact that this has an 8.6 kilometer detection, which means that you can really kind of appear in the face of destroyers when they're not expecting it. And today I've taken apart several destroyers. The flip side of that is that this thing is one of the most fragile cruisers I can think of. This thing takes damage like nothing else. Its freeboard is the size of a planet. It's like 6 stories high, at least. It's crazy. And so this thing takes a lot of damage. And one of the strange paradoxes with the ship is that you have very good concealment, almost destroyer-like concealment, but that's mixed with a very good main battery gun range. And you might think, oh, that's fantastic, because that means I can stay away and I can, you know, do the whole kitey cruiser thing. And at tier 7, 17.5 is amazing. However, this thing kind of relies on not being spotted. And the problem with having 17.5 is, like, I've had it happen several times today where a destroyer will come and smoke in front of me. Like, oh, I'll just hide you from that battleship while you shoot it, and you shoot, but you're spotted by something on the other side of the map because your range is so long, and especially if you use Sansonetti and you proc his extra range, your range becomes insanely long, and then it's very difficult to actually go dark. And you might think, oh, well, it's got an engine smoke. Yeah, it does, but it's only a 20-odd second engine smoke, and so it doesn't actually last that long, and the cooldown is really long, so you don't get to use that very often. And so this ship is kind of tricky to play because you're constantly playing around the detection, and you need to not get shot at by anything with large caliber shells because it will usually really hurt you, because most of it will overmatch you and it's definitely going to do you damage. You don't have a heal, and so you need to be super cautious with it. But when you land those shells at range, and they're pretty accurate as well, when you land those shells, they do a lot of damage because it's sap. And then if you get like a battleship that you don't pen, for example, you can switch to HE. I didn't have to do that very much today, but you can switch to HE and you can maybe set some fires. The fire chance is okay, but mostly you're going to be relying on the sap. So it's kind of awkward to play, but I can't argue with its performance. It actually performs pretty well. I think the lowest damage game I had was the last one, which was, I think, 24k, which is pretty bad. But the rest were all like up in the 70s, 80s. So it performs fine. It's very consistent. The thing that it struggles with, which is an important thing to be able to do at tier 7, is it struggles to deal with battleships, because obviously the sap starts to not work against battleships because you start to shatter. Against cruisers and destroyers, it's fine. And so if you, in tier 7, you quite often end up with 5 battleships left at the end of the match because they tend to survive, unlike higher tiers where they don't. And so you quite often end up facing down 3, 4, 5 battleships. And it just doesn't do that very well. And so if your team has failed to kill the battleships, there's not a lot you can do then to influence that match. And so I've really struggled to get the wins in both Ferruccio originally and now also Optio. So let me show you the win record. So 1 defeat, 1 win, 4 straight defeats, 4 straight wins. That's been those 10 games. Holy moly. So performance-wise, in terms of damage, I got 2 E's during that as well. I think this match and this match were both E's. Like the performance, I can't fault the performance in terms of damage output, but it's a very difficult ship to carry in. So the question then becomes, and it's got long range torps as well. It's got very long range torps, so 13.5s, which when you combine that with 8.6 and the really good angles, you get quite a lot of torp hits in it as well. So should you go for the lower track of the event pass? I don't know. The problem for me is this fails the I would rather be playing check, right? So for me, Zara is just as good. Zara has the ability to kite. Zara has an engine smoke. Zara has sap. Zara has long range torpedoes. It doesn't have as good concealment, but it's free. So I think my recommendation is the ship is fine. The ship is okay. It performs well. It's a little bit awkward, but you can just play Zara. So I think that's my recommendation is, unless you're super enthusiastic about cruisers, probably it's one to pass on, honestly. It's not bad, but Zara exists. So that's my recommendation. Thank you very much for watching. Come and find me on Twitch.